Ladies and gentlemen, we are officially live for another exciting day in the mention market world. Where is the how late will Leavitt be? Let's see. 23 minutes is the forecast. That's why we start at 1 p.m. sharp every time, because I know I'll have at least 20 minutes to wait for Caro to come out. She could be about 15 minutes. Wow. 1 cent spreads. It's crazy. We should do some analysis on this. She was super late last time, though. Maybe she tries to be more punctual this time. But this is an exciting one. All right. I mean, how can you not be excited for Karoline Leavitt Day? Overall in this speech, I am sizing up more towards this being a no speech. Biden is a bond bro. Probably. You gonna trade mentions? Of course I'm gonna trade mentions. Is that ever a question? But yeah, I'm sized up more for this to be a no sweep with where some of the prices were. You can see prices are already kind of moving a little bit from like where they were this morning. We did pick up some no healthcare in the 30s. I tried to buy more. I was only able to get 300 shares of no at 31 cents. I definitely like no healthcare at that price. Thesis is pretty simple. When she talks about healthcare historically, yeah, I'm on healthcare. No, when she's talked about it in recent times, it's centered around the shutdown. So the fact that there's no shutdown anymore, I think the odds of them saying healthcare are significantly lower, and I think the market hasn't really accounted for that fully. Like healthcare, yes, still trades at shutdown prices. New York mayor, we did buy some of these at 60 cents. Surprised I haven't been playing this strike normally, but I really like it. I would say fair value should probably be in the 70s. I think it's all the way down to 60 cents because, Zoran Mamdani isn't really in the, hemisphere now of like what she talks about. But they say New York when they refer to New York Post, when they refer to New York Times, and there's still a small chance she could bring up some mayor about something. So I think 60 cents for yes is a little bit of a discount. So it's the one yes share I'm holding here. I'm mostly on no's. I do have a decent position in stock market no. I got into that at 61 cents. The vibes for stock market are obviously high in the sense that we just had the Fed cutting rates yesterday. Stock market hits an all-time high. I mean, I think today, isn't the market pumping? Let's see. No, I mean, market's pretty flat today, but we're at an all-time high. So I think that's why people are super bullish on stock market. The other piece to where she could say stock market is in reference to the Trump accounts. If she brings that up, she could say every American's getting a piece of the stock market. I will short that at 60 cents. I think it's a little overbought. Although there are things that could point to her bringing it up, I just think it's overbought at 40 cents. And lastly, I do have some ballroom no at 60 cents. Somebody was just talking about there being a way for her to say it. Like, I'm sure there's a way, obviously. She said it before. It's just, again, one of those strikes that if I can get no's at 60 cents, it's a little surprising to me. I think yes share people are a little too bullish on that strike. Looks like White House stream is up. Let me try to compare streams really quick. Ballroom is in the news right now. I mean, I think it's always in the news. So, I mean, she can definitely say it. Is the ballroom where they play basketball? Based on your question, I would recommend not playing any of these strikes. It is not where they play basketball. Yeah, exactly. It's where those things happen, says I Sculptor. The ballroom is Trump's new little project on the White House that he's designing, and people are getting mad at him and saying he's overreaching his executive powers and spending millions building a ballroom. So they're attacking him for it. What a crazy release yesterday with Times, man. And I made $0 on that. I am so washed. I mean, Ballroom's now down to like it's now up to 70 for no. Are you in a bunch of no strikes for the Trump signing ceremony? I haven't looked at that one yet. Yeah, I sold my Jensen shares, Donnie. I sold my freaking Jensen shares. I had 3,000 Jensen shares at 20 because I thought it was not going to be AI. But I got spooked because people were rumoring that an insider was on AI. And I've gotten rinsed by too many of those markets, so I sold. But yeah, I had 3,000 Jensen shares. I think I showed on stream a while ago. I did, and I freaking sold like an idiot. I sold out at a loss like a complete idiot. Oh, God, I'm such an idiot. If you guys ever think I know what I'm doing, I don't. I'm just washed. God, I can't believe I did that. And I was thinking about that Times thing like so closely too. You have FBIS filled very low. Am I only playing 4 strikes for this market? I mean, those are like the main strikes that jumped out to me value-wise. Let's see. Is there anything else? I didn't start accumulating in this share in this market until like noon today, so I couldn't get too big of positions, unfortunately. But I also just need to start market buying this. Is Karoline Leavitt pregnant? Jeez, that's a little mean. I don't think she's overweight. She's a healthy woman. Let's see. To be honest, I'll take no on some of this if I can. Let's see. What about Pardon No, just like Jerome? I do like Pardon No if you can get in, but it's kind of moved a little bit. So, like, the fact that I could have gotten no's in the 40s makes me be like, screw it, I'm not even going to buy it. I should have just bought no's in the 40s. I got to get on these Karoline Leavitt markets way early, to be honest. Like, because some of these just get so mispriced. Why are we not watching RSBN? I'm trying to convert my 401k to gold. That's the exact reason, Ivan, because RSBN, if I put up RSBN, people are going to get sold some questionable things. Do I think she'll cover the farmer's aid? She probably will. She'll probably do a recap of all his meetings last week, including the farmers. The good old farmers. I think maybe that's part of the reason why China's so high. FBI, though, is very high. Wow. So, for those out of the loop, they were just publishing this today about like a attack they did on a Venezuelan like oil tanker. And this attack was between the FBI, like ICE, like all the big agencies collaborated together to get this Venezuelan oil tanker. So that's why like FBI is really high. That's why ICE is really high, because that's the context. People think they'll say it. Got FBI at 51. I would probably just take profits, but what's the difference between buying in shares and buying in dollars? Acrylics, if you're buying in dollars, you are market buying, is what it's called. So you should actually try not to buy in dollars. So what you should do, acrylics, is I'll show you. Let me move this over. So you see this? This is what you see. You see buy in dollars. You want to click limit order. And whenever possible, you want to use limit orders. The reason acrylic is if you use a limit order, you'll typically get in at a better price and you won't have to pay trading fees. So I do recommend using limit orders rather than just dollars, which is just market buying. The only drawback to limit orders, right, is you have to wait till your order gets filled. I don't know why I've had like a migraine yesterday and today. Limit order is alpha. Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, if you think about it, if you guys think that the markets are priced efficiently and then you just put a limit order in at the bottom range of the spread, theoretically you'd be plus EV, right? Because you're getting into the bottom of the spread. You're not paying trading fees. Obviously, the only issue with that is that I don't think these markets are that efficient. Limits get so frustrating with no fills. Yes, I know. It's a balance sometimes. Like I found out for Leavitt today, I should have just hammered some things with market buys because the price will like move away from me. So I should have market bought a lot of things is my point. I mean, this is like a stupid market, but yeah, I think she'll definitely be at least 15 minutes late. Let's see. No, rack zone. When you market buy, you pay fees. When you buy through a limit order, you don't pay fees. So yes, you don't pay fees, rack zone. The only time that you'd ever pay fees with limit orders when you're like acting as a maker is on some of the big sports markets where they're integrated with brokers. They'll charge you a maker fee. But the maker fee that they would charge you is significantly less than you pay from market buying. But for like things like mentions, they're not integrated on brokers, so you don't pay any fees. I mean, technically some mentions are on Prize Picks, but I think they still don't charge maker fees. So yeah, you don't pay any fees through limit orders on like mentions. But let's see, it's always great to be sized into a ton of no's. Then you're just sweating the speech, hoping they don't say all these things. But guys, we are having a pretty damn good week so far. Hopefully you guys are having a good week. I'm up a little over $5,000 so far into the week, and it's only Thursday. We got a lot more markets. We got announcer markets tonight. Biden, yes. Thoughts? Yeah, she's going to say Biden. So I actually think if you can get Biden at 92, that's underpriced. Let's see. For Biden, I would say fair value is probably 95 for Biden. So if you can get in at 92. What positions are we preloaded into, Tonka? Oh, she's here. She's here.
New faces in here today. As we approach the end of the year, it is a great time to reflect on how much progress our country has made under President Trump's bold leadership. Given the complete mess that President Trump inherited from Joe Biden and radical left Democrats in Congress, what this administration has accomplished since January 20th has been nothing short of remarkable.
Where's the other audio?
While most politicians promise big on the campaign trail and break those promises once they get into office, President Trump promised big and has delivered even bigger. On the economic front,
the audio
after
twice.
inheriting the worst inflation crisis in over 4 decades, President Trump's pro-growth policies are making tremendous progress to make America affordable again. Under the painful Biden years, inflation reached a record high 9%
Cooked on radical left right
and
in the
devoured
get-go.
Americans' purchasing power. In President Trump's term thus far, inflation has 2.7%,
Where is that audio
marking
coming
critical
from? What the
progress.
fuck?
The Trump administration is working hard every single day to bring
Okay,
down the
I got
cost
it.
of
It's
living
off.
through bigger paychecks and lower prices. Real wages are finally on the rise again and on pace to increase to roughly $1,200 for the average American worker this year. To put that into perspective, real wages declined by almost $3,000 under the Biden administration. That means Americans right now are on track already to
I never
make
had
up
a position on
1/3
AI. I had a
of the
position on
3,000
Jensen.
in lost wages under Joe Biden. There's much work to do, but this has already been significant progress. President Trump has also delivered resoundingly on his promise to end Joe Biden's insane war on American energy and make sure our country has reliable and affordable energy produced right here at home. As a result, the nationwide average for regular gas just fell to its lowest level in nearly 5 years. According to data from Gas Buddy released on Monday,
Gas
average
Buddy.
gas prices have now dipped below
I
$3
like Pardon
per
Now.
gallon in 37 states, below $2.75 per gallon in 22 states, and below $2.50 per gallon in 5 states. Just a few years ago, we saw record high price gas of nearly $5 per gallon. American families faced constant pain at the pump, and those costs caused the price of everything else to go up as well. In fact, the average cost for a gallon of regular gas in the
Someone's
country
very bullish
was
on
the
stock
most
market.
expensive price during a presidential term in U.S. history under Biden's disastrous leadership, even with them recklessly draining our strategic reserves to try and artificially decrease prices. But thanks to President Trump, those days are long behind us.
Thank you, President
In the months
Trump.
ahead, Americans can expect prices to fall even further. We know that when gas gets cheaper, everything else gets cheaper too.
I just need to
and that's
survive
what
for
this
not saying
president is
stock
focusing
market
on.
in the open.
Americans can also expect another boost to their bank accounts in the months ahead as 2026 tax refund season is
You're
upon
right,
us
Tonka,
after the
but she
holidays
just, like,
and it's
never says
projected
it.
to be
So
the
I'm just
largest ever
hoping she
thanks to
doesn't say it.
President Trump's passage of the One
I
Big
think it's
Beautiful
rational
Bill.
to buy now.
According to recent analysis from Piper Sandler, when Americans file their taxes early next year, their refunds could be about 1/3 larger than usual, or roughly an extra $1,000 per filer.
Maybe I
That
should have
is
bought some
money
Border
straight
No, to
into
be
the
honest.
pockets of the American people. It's only because of President Trump and Republicans'
Radical left and
leadership
Biden? You're
that
already done
Americans
then.
will
That's
now pay
boring.
no tax on tips, overtime, and Social Security. President Trump and Republicans believe hardworking Americans deserve to keep more of their hard-earned money, but Democrats, on the other hand, every single one of them, voted against these massive
I just
tax
need to
cuts.
survive the open with no
So
stock market,
remember
then I'm
that
pretty
the
much
next
good.
time Democrats try to talk about affordability. Democrats don't have a single clue about how to make America more affordable. They just
They
spent the
don't
last
have a
4
clue.
years creating the very affordability crisis that President Trump is fixing right now. And if given the chance of power ever again, the Democrats will implement those same policies and jack inflation right back up to where it was. Finally, at the border, President Trump has restored
All right, just
America's
as I was saying
sovereignty
that.
and made our country safe again. This is
I
the
wonder how
single
delayed I am.
greatest and fastest national security victory in modern American history, and it's not even close. The latest preliminary numbers released from the month of November show we have the
Well, we
most secure
survived that
border
whole bit
in our
with no
nation's
stock
history.
market.
This is a remarkable achievement. November encounters came in even
So I'll buy
lower
more.
than the previous historic low in October, if you can believe it. There were only 30,367 total encounters nationwide. That's lower than the previous record set in October. And for the 7th consecutive month, U.S. Border Patrol released
See.
0 illegal aliens into the United States. Let me repeat.
Illegal
7
alien,
months
right
of
away.
0 illegal aliens being released
Wow.
into our country. This is a historic achievement, and it's one that
Historic.
every
6-7,
law-abiding
did that
American
hit?
citizen should be grateful for. At this point, in 10 months under President Trump's unmatched leadership, we've seen less apprehensions overall than we saw in just 1 month under Joe Biden. Again, let me repeat, In 10 months under President Trump, we've seen less apprehensions at the southern border than we saw in 1 month under the previous president. Again, remarkable results. All in all, the economy is back on track and ready to boom over the next 3 years. Biden's inflation crisis is over. Prices are coming down. Wages are rising. The border is fully secure.
But hear that. She said economy boom, not stock market.
President Trump has kept his word and delivered for the American people over the past year, and he will not stop fighting, as you heard from him directly this week, until our country and every state in this country is better than ever before. So with that, I will take your questions today. I know there's a lot of news. We'll start with our new media seat. Mr. Bowling, it's great to see you here.
Sized up
He's
on no
Real
healthcare.
America's Voice. He's also the host of Edge, his interview and commentary podcast. Please, Eric, why don't you kick us off?
Karoline, thank you very much for this and inviting me to the new media seat. As you point out, affordability crisis, it strikes me energy prices have been coming down aggressively since President Trump's second term, approaching $55 a barrel for oil. Gasoline, as you point out, under $3 a barrel nationally, first time in 5 years. By the way, that $55 barrel oil is about half of the peak under the last 4 years of the last administration, half the price. Wholesale prices come down, yet affordability crisis. A lot of the folks in this room, a lot of legacy media, some of the people in the front row,
legacy media
seem to want to call this an affordability crisis right now, forgetting the fact that over the last 4 years prior, we hit 9% inflation. Wages, as you point out, were stagnant at best, sometimes had dipped. That's a real affordability crisis there, but they weren't really calling it that then. You point out how President Trump is changing the affordability in America.
I think stock market is extremely unlikely
sure
if
that
it didn't hit in the
the
open.
legacy media doesn't flip the script
market buying some notes
and change it so that they're using affordability as their word, their idea, versus what the American people who know much better.
Yeah, well, it's a great
Epstein,
question,
yes,
Eric,
is that
and it's a
43?
point of frustration for the president and for myself. I will say that's part of the reason I just kicked off this briefing today, setting the record straight with facts about the economic mess that the president inherited from his predecessor, Joe Biden. And he's focused on digging our country and our economy out of that hole every day. Things are getting better, and they will continue
media
to.
people that they
and
bring
President
in.
Trump understands better than any politician in this city the pain that the American consumer has been feeling for years now because of the last administration's policies. You heard him in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania this past week campaigning and talking to these voters, saying, I was elected to fix this problem and I am fixing it. Don't forget who created it, and that's the Democrats.
And
I think when you hear the president talk about affordability, he's saying the Democrats are the greatest con artists in history because they are now trying to claim ownership of an issue that they created. And every data point and every economic metric does in fact show that the economy is improving. And so I do wish more people would report on those facts. I do wish that more people would remind the American public how we got here and why. It does not mean this president is discarding the feelings of the American people. He gets it better than anyone, which is why his entire administration has been focused on the issue of the economy and energy prices since day one.
Sure.
I think this ends at 150,
around 10,000 commercial driver's license operators have been pulled by your transportation secretary.
Yes, I do have a code if you look in my bio.
Will the president apply that same metric? For the reason was the operators weren't speaking or reading English to a level that was safely, people thought they would safely be able to operate trucks on our roadways. It's estimated in California around 40% of Uber drivers, Uber and Lyft drivers, don't speak English proficiently, and the number's 45%.
Uber driver questions.
So will this same rule or metric apply?
See if I can get some cheap Israel shares. I love me some Israel shares.
So I don't have any announcements on further regulations, if you will, from the Department of Transportation with respect to this issue. However, I will just reiterate the Trump administration's
there is a code in my bio.
Is that truck drivers, particularly those driving big rigs on our nation's road and highways, who have a great responsibility to keep the American public and their fellow citizens safe, should be speaking English and should have an ability to read English proficiently. I think that's a very common sense policy to have. And we've unfortunately seen, and the Department of Transportation has uncovered and is actively working to fix these state-sponsored commercial trucking driver licenses, which were going to people who are not qualified to be driving these massive trucks on American roads, and they're endangering the
truck
lives
driver
of
a
our
strike?
fellow citizens. We've unfortunately seen many vehicle accidents across the country where people have lost their lives because of drivers that were just simply unqualified to be driving these trucks. So
I think FBI is
I know this is
50-50.
something DOT and Secretary Duffy take very seriously. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline. Based on the way that things stand right now, is Operation Southern Spear about drugs or is it about oil?
What I will tell you, Peter, is that the Trump administration is focused on doing many things in the Western Hemisphere. The president has taken a new approach that has not been taken by any administration for quite some time to actually focus on what's going on in our own backyard. And there are two things that are very important to this administration. Number one, stopping the flow of illegal drugs into the United States of America, which we know has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans. The president promised on the campaign trail that he would demolish the foreign terrorist organizations and drug cartels around the world, especially right here in our own hemisphere, and you have seen that he is delivering on that promise. With respect to the oil and what happened yesterday, the Department of Justice requested and was approved for a warrant to seize a vessel because it's a sanctioned shadow vessel known for carrying black market sanctioned oil to the IRGC, which you don't want to mess around with black market sanctioned black oil vessels. To stopping the illegal flow of drugs into our country. He's also fully committed to effectuating this administration's sanction policy, and that's what you saw.
Watch
in the
us
world
not
saw
say New York. I swear, Caroline.
The president is trying to do a lot of things at once. He talks a lot about how he thinks the way to bring down prices for everything would be to bring down the cost of energy. Would he use this seized Venezuelan oil to try to help Americans with affordability here in the United States?
Well, what I can tell you right now, the vessel has been seized, as you know. And
we have
the
seized
Department
the vessel.
of Justice did that in conjunction with the Coast Guard and the Department of War. The vessel is currently undergoing a forfeiture process right now.
Wow, they're
the
talking
United
about the
States
vessel? They don't
currently
say
has a
FBI.
full investigative team on the ground on the vessel, and individuals on board the vessel are being interviewed, and any relevant evidence is being seized. With respect to the oil, that's a different issue. As you know, Peter, the vessel will go to a U.S. port, and the United States does intend to seize the oil. However, there is a legal process for the seizure of that oil, and that legal process will be followed.
Pretty bad for FBI and ICE.
If President Trump launches a bigger military campaign in the Caribbean, is he jeopardizing a possible Nobel Peace Prize?
Look, the president has proven over the past year that he is more than worthy of the Nobel Peace Prize. I think he's been nominated for it nearly 100 times this past year, which is definitely a record. He's solved, I think, 9 conflicts around the world. We are up to now. He's actively working on Russia-Ukraine war, which is the big one as we speak. Russia-Ukraine hit over the past year. With respect to any additional action in Venezuela, I'm definitely not going to get ahead of the president or the United States military. Mary.
Wow, no
It
Israel
now seems
mentioned.
all but certain that the Obamacare subsidies will expire at the end of the year.
No, it's going to be health
More
care.
than 20 million Americans are now bracing for their health care costs to soar. Is the
healthcare
president prepared to let this happen, or is he going to step in?
The president is prepared to take action on health care, and he wants Republicans on the Hill to do the same.
Why,
as you have seen,
reporter?
Senate Republicans put forth their own
Why,
legislation earlier this
reporter?
week. As for the subsidies that
Why
are set
do you
to
ask
expire,
about
I would like to
Obamacare?
remind you and everybody at home why this is on the brink of happening. Democrats wrote Obamacare. They passed it without a single Republican vote, and then they ballooned it with these expensive COVID subsidies that completely distorted the health insurance market. And then they doubled down, extending those subsidies and setting their own expiration date right now in 2025, which the administration is obviously well aware of, and we are working. The president is working with his healthcare policy team here at the White House, as well as Republicans on Capitol Hill, to find a solution.
You said he's working to find a solution. He wants to see a solution to lower healthcare costs.
He does.
But these subsidies are expiring at the end of the year. So what is the plan, and what is he going to do to put this in place in the next 2-3 weeks?
You'll hear more from the president and from the White House on that very soon. As for wanting a solution to lower healthcare costs,
It's all going to come down to New York and Mayor.
Because the president is doing just that. He has made unprecedented progress towards lowering healthcare costs in this country and drug prices. He's secured numerous most favored nation drug price deals, with many more to come. As you know, the One Big Beautiful Bill, the working family tax cut, significantly expanded access to health savings accounts for those on Obamacare. Again, a Democrat written program and approved program, which has led
New York
to
is old
higher
news,
healthcare
you
costs
think?
in this country. So it goes back to the issue of affordability. Democrats are now pretending they want a solution to this issue, but they created the problem. The president and Republicans
I think that's the reason I was able to get it so
currently
cheap,
coming
'cause
up with
people have that
creative
thought
solutions and
process of it
ideas
being old
to
news.
lower healthcare costs for the American people, and you'll continue to hear more from them on that.
Before these subsidies expire?
I just said you're going to continue to hear more from the president and Republicans on this issue, I'm sure. Sure, Bloomberg, go ahead.
Thanks, Caroline. The president said he was going to be
All right, there's a
holding
Bloomberg
call
question.
with the leaders of Thailand and
Let's get a
Cambodia.
New York
Have
Times,
those
New York
calls
Post
taken place?
question.
Is there a readout you can share?
The president has not yet engaged in those calls, and when he does, I'm sure you'll hear from him directly, as you always do, after foreign leader calls or from somebody here at the White House. I do know, with respect to the conflict
Let's get a New York Times
in the peace
question
deal
or
in
New
Thailand
York
and
Post
Cambodia, and some of
question.
the conflicts you've seen arise, reports of that in the press over the past couple of days. The president addressed it in Pennsylvania. The administration is obviously tracking this at the highest levels and is very much engaged. I spoke with Secretary Rubio about it.
Wow,
this morning.
Tara.
Will senior U.S. officials be meeting Saturday
Look at tariff.
with European and Ukrainian officials to discuss the
Tariff
peace plan?
completely tanked.
Look, the United States and the Trump administration continues to be very much engaged in trying to bring the Russia-Ukraine war to an end. President had a call with Europeans yesterday. His special envoy Witkoff and his team continue to talk with both sides literally as we speak. If there is a real chance of signing a peace agreement, if we feel like those meetings are worthy of someone on the United States' time this weekend, then we will send a representative. It's still up in the air whether we believe real peace can be accomplished and we can truly move the ball forward. The president is extremely frustrated with both sides of this war.
Tariffs? Is
And
it
he's
Trump thing?
sick of meetings just for the sake of meeting.
I guess
he doesn't want any more talk.
maybe
he wants
you're right.
action.
I mean,
he wants this war to come
they
to
were
an end.
probably overpriced
And
at,
the
like, close to
administration has
90.
spent more than 30 hours just in the past couple of weeks meeting with the Russians and the Ukrainians and the Europeans and speaking with them as well.
See how
So
cheap I can get
we'll
in New
see
York.
about the meetings this weekend, and stay tuned.
President read President Zelensky's
trillion.
latest proposal that was sent over yesterday.
He's aware of it, yes. Ed.
Thanks, Caroline. The Fed chairman, the president says that he's interviewing candidates. So I just want to be clear. So the pick has not been locked in, and could we get an announcement before Christmas?
I know every business outlet in the world is
Christmas?
just chomping at the bit for a scoop or something on this Fed chair announcement. I'm not going to get ahead of the president. I know there's been a lot of reports about potential meetings this week with potential candidates. Look, as always, this is a decision the president himself is going to make. And I know there's a lot of reporting out there from anonymous sources who claim to know something. I would wait and see what the president himself does and announces, and I certainly won't be the one to get ahead of him on that.
On the economy, can I ask you about it?
Michael, go ahead.
Caroline, on the next Fed chair, does the president have an expectation that his pick will lower interest rates next year to his liking?
I think the president has been quite clear about what he believes the Fed should be doing, which is lowering interest rates. I know there was a quarter-point reduction this past week, and the president was pleased to see that, but he thinks more should be done. Philip.
Thank you, Caroline. On these advanced NVIDIA H200 chips, why is the president willing to allow China to have access to one of America's
China.
chief technological advantages?
Look, I will tell you just a couple of things. The president put out his own statement on this, which I do think highlights his exact thinking. What you see from the president on Truth Social is most of the time what you hear from the president behind closed doors privately. He told President Xi that NVIDIA will only be shipping
There's China.
H200
We
products
should've
to
just slammed
approved
China,
customers
yes.
in China under conditions that will allow for continued strong national security. The administration continues to maintain a strict export control regime, and we are ensuring that the Blackwell chip and other advanced technologies stay right here in America, and these H200 chips will only be sent to China after undergoing a security inspection here in the United States. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Caroline. New York City
Well,
Mayor Alexandra
of course I'm
Mamdani
delayed.
put out a video recently
Oh.
telling immigrants in New York City they have the
Mom
right
Donnie,
to stand up
let's
to
go.
ICE.
Mayor,
Her
come on,
concern
Mayor.
is will
Hit
inspire
Mayor.
New York City
Hit Mayor.
residents to resist ICE
Hit Mayor in New York
operations,
here.
and what will
Come
the Trump
on,
administration do if this
Caro.
happens?
The Trump administration is definitely concerned about the rise in violence and attacks.
Tell
and
me you're
physical
going to say
threats
mayor here.
that we
This
have
is a question
seen
on
against
Mamdani.
our brave men
How
and
do you
women
not
who
say
wear
New
the
York
ICE
or
uniform.
mayor?
Again, these
There's
are
ICE.
agents who are just simply doing their jobs.
She really not
They're
gonna
enforcing
save
our
here.
nation's immigration
I'm gonna
laws.
crash out.
And we've seen more than a 1,000% increase in violent attacks on them and their families. They've been doxxed, they've been harassed. Many of them have been physically
I'm gonna crash out if she doesn't
assaulted
do
and
it.
attacked. So we condemn that wholeheartedly. I know the administration has done a lot to protect our ICE agents, and the president
she dodged
stands
it, didn't
firmly
she?
behind them
She
in
dodged
conducting
it.
these enforcement operations. And there's a lot of talk from
Oh,
Democrat
is that
politicians
it?
in New York, but the Trump
New York.
administration will continue to do our jobs
felt
in every
so
state,
good about
and
New
that's to
York. That's what I was
remove
saying.
illegal
I had
aliens
almost
and
1,000.
public safety threats
Let's
from
go.
American communities.
I didn't think it would hit as part of a question on Mamdani, to be fair. I thought it would hit when she said New York Times or New York
Obviously,
Post.
Jasmine Crockett,
But,
the president has
I mean, if we
openly
didn't hit
criticized,
there,
just
we
entered
would have been
Texas'
looking
Senate race.
cooked
I
on
asked Mike
this.
Johnson, who said that Texas
So
largely
that's good.
supports the president.
Very good.
Crockett, on the other hand, says that Trump is an example of extremism. She says that her support is a referendum on Trump. I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. And has
All right,
Trump
I'll
made any
keep buying
statements
more
since she's
stock
been
market note.
since she's announced her candidacy?
Not to my
get this to
knowledge, as you
1,000.
know, from the White House podium, as a government employee, I'm not privy to comment on future elections, but I do think the president has made his thoughts on Ms. Crockett quite clear, and I do believe he thinks she is wholly unqualified for the office that she is
Wow,
seeking.
FBI is getting so low.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. A federal judge today ordered the immediate release of Kilmar Abrego Garcia from ICE detention.
Supreme Court?
Does White House have a response to that, and does the administration plan to appeal that decision?
Absolutely. The White House, the administration opposed this activism from a judge who is really acting as a judicial activist, which we've unfortunately seen in many cases across the country. Abrego Garcia is present in our country illegally. He is a proven human trafficker. He is
what was
proven
Trillion priced
gang
at?
member. The administration has evidence of that. And as you saw from the Department of Homeland Security, they issued a statement saying they'll continue to fight this legal battle in court.
No's are probably still undervalued.
I have one on Venezuela to follow up, but first on affordability, since we were talking about the economy at the beginning. If the economy is as strong as the president
economy
has said
question.
it is, then why is he telling parents 2 weeks before Christmas that they should only buy 2 or 3 dolls for their children?
Look, what the president
what?
is
He
saying
said
is that
that?
if we
2 or
want
3
products made
dollars.
right here in America, if we want
Oh,
them
here's
to be
tariff. Is
made
this gonna be tariff?
from American small businesses, which is a large part of the
Oh,
reason
yeah.
the president has effectively implemented
See,
tariffs.
I know
then we're
what's
gonna have
coming and I
better
don't buy it in
quality
time 'cause I'm a
products right
loser.
here in the United States.
But I also have a
Maybe you'll
delay.
pay
If I had
$1 or
the
2
fastest
more,
latency
but you will
stream,
get
I would make
better
so much
quality,
money
and you'll be supporting
because I could then
your
jump.
fellow
I need to
Americans,
invest
by
more
buying
time into
American, and
that
that's what the
for
president
Caro
is saying.
speeches.
Again, with respect to affordability, every economic metric, Caitlin, and I wish you would report more on it, does in fact show that the economy is getting better and brighter than where it was.
Oh, gosh.
Under the
Economic
previous
metric?
administration.
Is she
I
gonna
will
say
repeat,
stock market?
Inflation, as measured by
Oh,
the
no.
overall CPI, has slowed to an
Oh,
average
no.
2.5%
Is she gonna
pace.
say stock
Real
market? Are you
wages are
serious?
increasing,
It's
roughly
not. She's just gonna
$1,200
use-
for the average
Ah,
worker.
she's gonna
Gas
say stock
prices are
market?
down in almost every single state across the country. Again, in 22
Because she's
states,
just going to push
it's
affordability.
below
Don't say stock
275.
market.
You
They
look
know
at the
not to
tax
say
cuts.
stock market.
Those are
because
going to go
everyday
into
people
effect
don't
next
care
year.
about the
So
stock market.
the best is yet to come. The president is digging our country out of the economic hole that the previous administration put us in, and that's what he's talking about.
Boom. No stock market.
Was a year ago, as you know, and grocery prices have been up. So we've
All right, they're
covered
going
the
back to
economy, but
affordability. I'm
there's
gonna buy more
mixed
no's on
signals in
stock
terms of
market.
What that looks like. But
I
on
just-
Inflation
I
is
don't
down
see it.
from where it was. As measured by the overall CPI, it has slowed to an average.
Her talking points are all
2.5%
gonna be on
This is down
affordability
from
and
what the
stuff.
president
It's about
inherited.
3%.
The president inherited 2.9% in January. Today, it's at about 2.5%. So we're trending in the right direction, with more to come. And I would remind you, when President Trump left office in his first term, inflation was 1.7%, and the previous
these
administration jacked it up to a
74
record
cent
high
shares. Did I miss
9%.
those?
So again, in 10 months, the president has clawed us out of this hole. He's kept it low at 2.5%.
Oh, give me these
and
shares.
we believe that
Okay.
number is going to continue to decline, especially as energy and oil prices
We are
continue to decline as
jacked
well.
on no stock
High
market
under Biden.
mention.
They're
We
saying
are
it's not-
getting
Well, nobody
jacked.
reported on it being high under Biden. My predecessor was standing at this podium, but now you want to ask me a lot of questions about it, which I'm happy to answer. But I will just add, there's a lot more scrutiny on this issue from this press corps than there was. Well, and the previous administration said that too. My predecessor stood up at this podium and she said inflation doesn't exist. She said the border was secure, and people like you just took her at her word, and those were two utter lies. Everything
Utter
I'm telling you is
lies.
the truth,
Cook
backed
them,
by
Caro.
real factual data.
That's my
and you just don't want
Karoline
to report
Leavitt.
on it because you want to push untrue narratives about the president. Go ahead.
That's the Karoline Leavitt I know. Don't talk
I'm
about
not
the
going to
stock
take your
market.
follow-up. Go ahead.
Does the White House have
Is the White House optimistic about the upcoming redistricting vote in Indiana, and what happens if it fails?
We'll see how the vote plays out. That's a political matter and frankly a legal one, and I won't comment on it here. Brian.
Thank you, Caroline. I'm going to go back to the Fed. I have two topics I just want to address with you. The first one on the Fed. The president did say yesterday that he was meeting with Kevin Warsh.
This is your favorite story in the world, Brian.
It is our favorite story. The president said yesterday he was meeting with Kevin Warsh to talk about the Fed chair, interviewing for a Fed chair role. Can you just say how that interview went with him?
I won't comment on private meetings without the president's approval to do so.
And the second thing is on the Netflix Warner Brothers.
Oh,
the president did address
Netflix Warner Bros.
He said that he believes that the sale of CNN should be attached to that deal with Netflix or with Paramount, if anything happens down the road with them. Can you just explain what the president's planning to do going forward to continue to make that case similar to what he made yesterday?
Well, I think the president's comments yesterday about the sale of CNN and new leadership is evidenced by my exchange with the CNN reporter in this room. Their viewership has gone down, their ratings has declined, and I think the president rightfully believes that network would benefit from new ownership. With respect to this deal, he has great respect for both companies who are bidding against one another, and I won't weigh in any further than that. In the back, go ahead.
Thank you.
I wasn't calling on either of you, but I'll take both your questions and then to you. Go ahead.
I have two questions. One is South Korea, one on the Japan. First question, the recent U.S.-South Korea trade fact sheet made no mention of agricultural product. Does the United States want to completely open its rice and beef market to South Korea? And second question on Japan. China is using its military
She's talking about
power to surround Okinawa,
agricultural
Japan.
exports to South Korea.
Is the United States concerned about the military conflict between China and Japan? And what action will the United States take?
Okay. To your first question on South Korean beef exports to South Korea, I will check with our trade team and we will get you an answer on that. To your second question with respect to Japan and China, the president has a phenomenal relationship with the new Prime Minister of Japan, as you know. He was pleased to meet her when we went to Asia a couple of months ago, and they have spoken a few times since. They continue to be engaged with one another, and Japan is a great ally of the United States, as evidenced by their personal relationship and our continued trade relations with Japan. With respect to China, the president also has a good working relationship with President Xi, which he believes is a good thing for our country, and he believes that the United States should be in a position to have a good working relationship with China while maintaining our very strong alliance with Japan. Go ahead.
Yesterday, President Trump was speaking about drug production in Colombia. He said that the president of Colombia better wise up or he's gonna be next. What was he meaning exactly? And the other thing is that President Colombia responded to that statement by issuing a formal invitation to President Trump to go to Colombia and to see firsthand how the authorities in Colombia are fighting against drugs. Do you think that President Trump would consider that?
Well, that's very interesting. I hadn't heard the news about that invitation. I will let the president speak directly to it on whether or not that's something he would entertain. But as for his comments yesterday towards President Petro, he has been saying some very alarming and frankly insulting things towards the United States of America, and the president doesn't like it. Yes, in the blue.
It's true, Raxon.
Yes,
not a bad idea.
Thank you. The president's been spotted out and about a number of times with bandages on his hands. Could you please explain what that is about? Secondly, he noted on True Social the other day that he had aced 3 cognitive tests. Could you please clarify when those tests took place?
I can do that at a later date. I obviously don't have that in front of me. The president has spoken about that quite extensively throughout the years. As for the bandages on the hand, we've also given you an explanation for that in the past. The president is literally constantly shaking hands. The Oval Office is like Grand Central Terminal. He is meeting with more people than any of you even know about on a daily basis. He's also on a daily asprin regimen, which is something his physical examinations has said in the past as well, which can contribute to that bruising that you see. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline.
How much longer?
Oil tanker. Just want to know, is this
7 minutes?
or is it safe to say the administration is taking a more active
I think
look
5 to
at
10
the
is the
oil
range.
industry in Venezuela, whether targeting other oil ships or perhaps Venezuelan oil production facilities in Venezuela?
Well, I won't broadcast any future actions from the administration, but I will just reiterate that the Trump administration is executing on the president's sanction policies and the sanction policies of the United States, and we're not going to stand by and watch sanctioned vessels sail the seas with black market oil, the proceeds of which will fuel narco-terrorism of rogue and illegitimate regimes around the world. Andrew?
Christmas is interesting.
When the president announced the farm relief program the other day, Secretary Rollins afterwards, right out there, told us that the program would be paid for by the Commodity Credit Corporation, an existing program.
Do you guys think it'd be my Discord's in my bio, Telly? Do you guys think it'd be fun to work in the White House cabinet?
Why does he keep saying that if the secretary who's running the program says that's not the case? And also about his dog
and hopefully
comments
like a
from
not as important role.
The president's a billionaire. He's probably the wealthiest person to ever serve as president. Is it a good look for him to be telling parents, "Oh, you should only buy $2 or $3 for your kids"? When
wow, a doll question again.
Do you think the people in that room in Pennsylvania who the president was speaking to don't know the president's a billionaire? I think that's a very well-established fact. And actually, I think it's one of the many reasons they reelected him back to this office, because he's a businessman who understands the economy and knows how to fix it. And he's doing it right now just like he did in his first term. Sure, go ahead. To the gentleman behind you, Andrew, yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Karoline. On Gaza, we heard the president say yesterday that the Board of Peace members are going to be announced early next year.
I missed the Israel buys.
What is the administration doing to move the parties in the region closer toward phase 2 of his peace plan for Gaza?
Sure. Well, first of all, I would be remiss if I didn't highlight what a success it is that 10 months into the president's administration, you're asking me about a peace plan in Gaza, because that's a legitimate reality on the ground right now in the region.
Yes.
And it's only because of this president's leadership that was able to take place, that all the living hostages were returned, all but one body of the deceased hostages has been returned, and we're still, of course, working on the last one. As for this next phase of the peace process, there is a lot of quiet planning that's going on behind the scenes right now for phase 2 of the peace deal. And when the United States is ready to make those announcements public on the Board of Peace, the ISF, and the Palestinian technocratic government, we will be making those announcements at the appropriate time. But the reason that the negotiators and the teams on the ground have been rather quiet about this is because I spoke with them this morning. They are trying to be deliberate and thoughtful about this. Peace in Gaza, in the Palestinian Strip, is something, the Gaza Strip rather, is something that people have been trying to accomplish for 70 years. So, this is a complex problem, and this administration wants to be very thoughtful about it, and we want to ensure an enduring and lasting peace. And when those announcements are ready, they will be made. Sure.
Thank you. There have been reports that Vladimir Putin called Maduro today to reaffirm his support. I wanted to ask if it is concerning to the president
Dodge on Israel
Putin has given such a warm embrace to Maduro.
I don't think that would be concerning to the president at all, no. I'll let him speak on it further.
Spoken to Putin about that?
He has not spoken to President Putin today, and I understand that call took place this morning, so the answer is no.
Thanks. I have a question about the ACA, but just first very quickly clarifying Caitlin's question. You acknowledged that CPI in January when you took office was 3%.
No, don't talk
and
about
in September, the last month
economics.
it was also 3%, so inflation.
No, it's 2.5%.
Not in September, it was 3%.
It's 2.5%, the average CPI right now. I have it in front of me. In President Trump's first 8 months in office, inflation as measured by the overall consumer price index has slowed to a 2.5 average pace. This is down from the 2.9% inherited in January.
January is 1 month.
In the back.
Okay, can I ask you about the ACA really quickly? There are a number of plans that are floating around on the Hill right now having to do with these premium subsidies that are about to expire. Which plan does the White House support?
Again, I have told you now a few times that the president and the Republicans will continue to unveil creative ideas and solutions to the healthcare crisis that was created by Democrats. And I know Chuck Schumer is putting up a vote today.
Healthcare, no, was not a good play today.
This is a political show vote. Chuck Schumer is not sincerely interested in lowering healthcare costs for the American people. He's putting this vote on the floor knowing that it will fail so he can have another talking point that he can throw around without any real plan or action. If Chuck Schumer actually wanted to lower healthcare costs, I'm sure the president would welcome him and his entire Democrat caucus to
Winston
a
was yes
legitimate
healthcare.
Coordination on
Let's
the
see.
president's policies of bringing down drug prices, these most favored nation deals. Why hasn't Chuck Schumer ever come out in support of those?
Wow,
those
he
are
was
going to
yes on
legitimately, they
healthcare,
already
but
are lower drug prices.
I don't know about FBI.
For the American people.
Let's see
and
if
not a
that
word
gets
from
home.
Chuck Schumer on it. So I think that just proves this is completely political. Kelly, go ahead.
Buttons on Venezuela. Does the president consider the seizure of the oil tanker?
This could be
as the
FBI
lead
right
or
here,
step
Winston.
towards war with Venezuela?
This could be FBI.
I think the president considers the seizure of the oil tanker as effectuating the administration's sanction policies, which I've already discussed previously.
Potential invasion or potential land strikes in Venezuela aligned with the president's supporters, the MAGA base, does it risk the potential for a prolonged war and U.S. troops involved in that?
Prolonged war is definitely not something this president is interested in. He's been very clear about that. He wants peace. He also wants to see the end of illegal drugs being trafficked into the United States and taking the lives of hundreds of thousands of Americans across our country. And he's thinking about that every day
Pipe bomber
here at the White
FBI
House
mention?
with every
Huh.
drug boat that
I
is
was thinking
taken
you
out
were
by
saying
this
it 'cause they
administration.
partnered together
we are
with, like,
saving
ICE and
thousands
everything.
of lives by deterring those drugs and stopping those drugs from flowing into our country. You will all, excuse me, you'll all hear, excuse me, you will all see the president tonight. He'll be making remarks at the Congressional Christmas Ball, which will be taking place here at the White House. And later this afternoon, he will be signing some congressional bills and executive orders that we, as always, will keep you apprised of. Thanks, guys.
Boom. Boom. Let's go. Oh, I was so late. No, I was so late to bond everything. Whatever. I didn't get any of it. Okay, how did we do? $300? Really? That's it? Did I really only make 300? I mean, good, whatever. A win's a win. But you know. Alright. Yeah. What's up, Varun? We made 330. We'll take it. We'll take it. I'm a little upset. Wish we could have made more. I gotta start trading these Leavitt markets earlier because they're always open. You know what I mean? They're open the whole week. Obviously, there's risks in, like, what will they say? Because, like, new information's gonna come out. So she did say Christmas at the end? Wow, how low did it get? Yeah, it still stayed pretty high. People knew it'd be at the end. Yeah, I did too, Gordon. Well, not as much on... Yeah, I mean, those are my two losses, was healthcare and radical left. No. She came out and said radical left, like, right in the open. Yeah, I didn't see any world where stock market was going to get hit. Am I doing mentions for football tonight? Yes, I will. I won't be streaming tonight, though. I'll be out. But I'm definitely going to play them. 38 cents on Christmas, yes. Yeah, I should have researched it to see if she says it right at the end. We'll take it. A win's a win. The Christmas ball is going to be an interesting mention, though. I'll definitely do some plays before then. I will trade the congressional ball mention, and I'll, like, send my... Maybe I'll make a post about what I'm taking. But I won't be live for it, because I'm going to be out tonight starting... I'm going to a dinner. But I'm definitely going to make some plays. I taught you half thing. Maduro no for tonight? Well, what is it priced at tonight? Maduro no is, like, always a good play, honestly. What do they have it at for Trump? Yeah, I mean, Maduro no at 80 is, like, yeah, that's a pretty good fill loom. That's just like me in crypto, dude. I had 3K on no crypto. At his earlier rally, let me find it. Yeah, look at that. This is called starting to size up. We had 3,200 on no crypto yesterday. Well, what is Biden priced at in the ceremony? 42? Holy. All right, there's something about this format then. I got to research it. Oh, look at some of his past speeches. But yeah, wow, these are pretty cheap prices. Wow, hottest in the 30s. No on roll call, it's closed press. I thought they had it as open today. Where does it say closed press? It's White House press pool. I think it's probably more format. White House press pool. This is different from the congressional ball. This is a signing ceremony. Isn't the market for the... Oh, this says signing ceremony. Oh, I'm stupid. No, I'm the idiot. I'm sorry, guys. They made a market for the signing ceremony when it's closed press? Huh. So we are going back to the closed press FUD times. Sorry, I didn't see that. I didn't realize that this was a market for the signing ceremony. No wonders everything's priced where it is. So... Oh my gosh. I love having markets and you don't even know if there's going to be a speech or not. This is pretty hilarious. This is not in the rules. What are you talking about? They always resolve no for closed press. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do some research for White House later today. I don't know about this one. I would not buy any yes strikes in the signing ceremony because there's probably a high likelihood it's going to be closed press. But if you have a strong semblance that this will be open press, you could buy away some shares. We will be back soon. Guys, by the way, we're at a 5K week. I was at 74K to start the week. And honestly, this should be 79.5. It just oscillates because my Ole Miss price moves between 3 and 4. But we're going to break 80K this week, I say. That's my prediction. We just got to make another 1K before Sunday. Let's see. We got 3 days left. Hopefully we don't blow up the account before then.